Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. It's War on Poverty Day, and so we bring attention to and raise awareness of the continued problem of poverty and how we can address it. Come, we have another stimulating show for you. It starts with the news.
2023 was a banner year for the government and people of Jamaica. We saw record unemployment, earned over $4 billion from tourism, experienced 10 consecutive quarters of economic growth, secured historic credit ratings, improved our infrastructure, and more Jamaicans became home and landowners in the year. These and so much more happened in 2023. Catch the highlights in Jamaica Magazine, aired on this station and on social media.
Good day, I'm Twyla Whelan, and this is your JS News for Monday, January 8, 2024. A proposal for the Integrated Electronic Case Management System for judicial proceedings is about to go before Cabinet as soon as this month. Chief Justice Brian Sykes made the announcement in an interview with JS News. The program, which was developed in Rwanda, is expected to transform the way court officials and clients interact, reducing wait time.
And the expectation is that you'll have improved efficiency because you will have less paper moving around, you will have reduced instances of missing files, you will have instances now where the files can be transferred from one court to another without any loss of time.
Should Cabinet give its approval, Justice Sykes says his department will then go ahead with its partners to develop the program and make digital case management more widespread.
The whole idea behind that is to have a case management system for both civil and criminal cases, and it links all our courts, all the parish courts, the Supreme Court, the Gun Court, the High Court Division of the Gun Court, the Circuit Division of the Gun Court, and the Court of Appeal.
The Chief Justice says it will cost in the range of $3 to $5 million to implement the program. The government will be providing an emergency response to damaged roadways in sections of Portland. Prime Minister Andrew Holness gave the commitment as he toured affected roads in the parish last week. Heavy rainfall in various communities in recent weeks caused dislocation for residents, farming, and other businesses in the area.
So far, what we have seen, we could make emergency allocations. We're coming close to the end of the fiscal year. So there will be some provisions that we will have to make to ensure that the dislocations caused by these weather events do not affect our economic output.
Mr. Holness was accompanied on the tour by Member of Parliament for Portland Eastern, Anne-Marie Vaz, Mayor of Port Antonio, Paul Thompson, and officials from the National Works Agency. The NWA has signed a $9 million contract to do cleaning in the Seamans Valley area. Another sum is under consideration for repair work to the road, which was damaged. The Prime Minister says the necessary interventions will be made to support the various industries in the area.
And of course, to ensure that the commuting public and all farmers are able to move in relative ease.
Meanwhile, Agriculture Minister Floyd Green says an all-of-government approach will be taken to assist farmers in Portland who have been impacted by the recent heavy rains. While touring sections of eastern Portland on January 3, the minister said he would seek to work with other ministries to explore matters such as river training and cleaning for the Rio Grande. He adds that a program of response will be crafted by his ministry to get the farmers back into production as quickly as possible. This will include the provision of input supplies such as fertilizers. And Prime Minister Andrew Holness is assuring displaced vendors of the Musgrave Market in Portland that preliminary work to construct a temporary shed will be sped up. The market was destroyed by fire in May last year, and vendors are now operating in the park, exposing them to inclement weather conditions for the past few weeks. During a tour of the area last Thursday, the Prime Minister said consultation would be held with stakeholders to facilitate the temporary shed for vendors on the grounds of the market parking lot. It will also provide access to adjoining sanitary facilities.
So they would build this temporary area, which would not interfere with the other plans that are going to unfold for the development of the market district. It has taken some time. There are some bureaucratic hurdles that we have to cross.
Member of Parliament for Portland Eastern, Anne-Marie Vaz, also assured the vendors that funds were in place for the construction of the shed, the design was completed, and a deposit made.
One of the critical issues the vendors have is that in the market, every evening, they have to pack up their goods, pay a taxi, and every morning they have to pay a taxi to bring back the goods and put them on display. So in addition to the shed, which is why we have not made a second payment, we need to now put in storage.
And finally, Sport Minister Olivia Grange has welcomed the donation of more than 90 sets of cricket kits to support the ongoing growth of the game in Jamaica. The items, valued at $50,000 were recently handed over to the Jamaica Cricket Association (JCA) by the Government of the Republic of India. The kits include batting pads, gloves, balls, helmets, grips, grip cones, stumps and bails, in addition to cricket bats and guards and kit bags. They will be given to primary and secondary schools to create a strong basis for the development of cricket among young Jamaicans. Minister Grange says the gear will be much appreciated by aspiring cricket players and will be crucial to the ministry's cricket development initiatives. The Indian High Commissioner to Jamaica says he hopes the donation will spark additional cooperation between the two countries, not only in cricket, but also in other sports such as track and field. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Twyla Whelan. Thanks for watching.
Once upon a time in a Caribbean island known for its rich culture and natural beauty, lived a group of people who were buried in piles and piles and more piles of paper. Papers spanning back to the start of time. Then came a bright idea, harnessing technology to work smarter and not harder. The government of Jamaica is improving its operations to serve citizens better. Many services are now available online, and there's more to come. The government of Jamaica, building a better public sector for all.
It was a year of achievements in the office of the Prime Minister. Let's look at some of the highlights that made this entity successful in 2023.
Housing, skills development, digital integration. These plus regional and international partnerships are the highlights of the Office of the Prime Minister in 2023.
Change is happening right before our very eyes.
Let's recap.
We have, in hearing the call of the people for accountability, for stability, for good management, we have carved down the government.
In the first half of the year, the Prime Minister restructured his cabinet to merge key portfolios and introduce new sectors of focus.
We have kept the government basically very tight, and we have brought in new talent into the government.
To ensure accountability, Mr. Holness tabled job descriptions to direct the conduct of members of Parliament and government ministers.
This is what accountability means. It means we take responsibility for ourselves.
2023 was a very good year for Jamaica in terms of digital transformation. A lot of things happened in 2023, and primary among those would be broadband access. We were able to bring broadband internet to 500 schools, to our courts, to our police stations, and to our post offices. It's been fantastic to see all of these entities being connected under our GovNet program also. In addition to that, in 2023, we also formed the AI Task Force. What we're saying with that task force is that Jamaica is not going to stand idly by while the world moves forward. During 2023, we did a lot of work in terms of setting the foundations for NIDS. We have our card processing center. We did a pilot with a lot of Jamaicans. It was oversubscribed. And through that pilot, we learned more about how you would want your NIDS sign up to be. And we have tweaked it. And we've worked on the regulations for NIDS. And in 2024, early 2024, we'll be ready to go with our national digital ID, which for many years we've spoken about protecting data. And that's why we moved forward with the Data Protection Act, December 1, 2023. "2023 was a very good year for skills development in Jamaica. And this is an area that is critical for the future of our country. Our Prime Minister announced that CART would be free to everyone. And that's a really important thing because that impediment of paying has been lifted. And that signals the commitment to increasing the skills quotient in our country.
Since the announcement of our Prime Minister about the removal of fees in March 2023, the Heart NSTA Trust has seen an enrollment of 119,641 participants.
In addition to that, we have put new technology into Heart. What it says is that we're talking about the future. Our young people are going to be equipped for this new world. And that's why we also did that LIFT program, which is taking 500 of our brilliant young people and giving them the social documents they need, giving them access to learning how to code, how to be professionals, and then putting them in the private sector and public sector and paying them for 1 year to learn how to be professionals in our country.
250 firms across the ministries, departments and agencies and private sector entities have embraced these participants in their workspaces. Another significant achievement is our skills development training for 191 unattached youths between the ages of 17 and 29. The Heart NSTA Trust engaged these youths across a 6-week National Service Corps residential camp training. The individuals are from communities that are under the zones of special operations.
During 2023, the National Housing Trust NHT continued to deliver more to our contributors. And to that end, we broke ground for 2 major developments, one at Tivoli Gardens in Kingston, and we had another at Sheffield in Westmoreland. And where the delivery of housing solutions are concerned, we delivered over 1,000 housing solutions to brand new, proud NHT homeowners.
My dream, as well as the dream of many individuals in this audience, has become a reality.
On the financing side, we continue to make improvements to our loan products and our loan offerings. And in this regard, the NHT actually improved its loan ceiling for all major NHT loan products and also our general open market loans. For our build on own land loans, we moved that loan limit from $6.5 to $7.5 million. And we also introduced a new $8.5 million loan category where individuals who are purchasing units that cost less than 12 million Jamaican dollars can access that additional $1 million. Our home improvement product, that also went up by a further $1 million, moving that from $2.5 million to $3.5 million. The NHT in 2023 also introduced its external financing mortgage program. We call it EFMP for short. Now, what EFMP does is that it allows you to apply for your NHT loan right where you save. So NHT contributors who earn $30,000 or more, they can now apply for their loans under the EFMP program through a wider network of banks and credit unions. We also made improvements to our microfinancing loan program. Now, this is some additional funding that the NHT provides that you get to add to your general NHT loan amount. So we moved that amount up to $1.95 million. In additional funding you can now access through your credit union to do a wide variety of housing related things. And also the NHT introduced in 2023 our NHT Online, which is greater convenience for you to access your eligibility letter and a host of other NHT benefits.
You see how enlightened the thinking is of the NHD to make sure that we give all opportunities to Jamaicans to access the financing of the NHD.
The consolidation of government communication to effect a more robust and responsive state apparatus is a key objective of the Prime Minister. We are currently renovating a space at the Public Broadcasting Corporation, and procurement is now taking place to acquire equipment to totally retool and modernize Cool FM. There's an upgrade taking place currently of the ATI website, as well as aligning it to modern accessibility standards. In collaboration with our newly minted Minister, Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, we are forming the G-Data Task Force to create purpose-built archives and records facilities in order to protect our data. Increased engagement with stakeholders for digital switchover. This process has started and it continues in earnest, but I'm pleased to announce that testing of DSO ATSC 3.0 has commenced by various broadcasters.
Government must respond.
Determined to cauterize crime and improve civility, the Prime Minister deployed members of the Jamaica Defence Force, JDF, to support special security operations during the year. The JDF also supported the police force and other key agencies in responding to a series of bomb threat hoaxes. And the National Disaster Risk Management Team sprang into action in October in response to a 5.6 magnitude earthquake that had a shake intensity measuring 7.
There has never been a better time to invest in Jamaica.
In 2023, Prime Minister Andrew Holness represented Jamaica's interests at the regional and international level. Outcomes include Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean benefiting from a $35 million commitment from the United States government to support clean energy and disaster response in the region. Another is the Global Gateway Investment Agenda for Latin America and the Caribbean, which was launched in July. Jamaica is set to benefit from 45 billion euros of high-quality European investment to the region, with more than 135 projects already in the pipeline.
Jamaica is on a pathway. Let us not deviate. Let us not turn back.
Flu season is here. Let's fight the flu with these tips. Stay up to date with recommended flu vaccines. Practice good hygiene, that is frequent hand washing and sanitizing, covering your mouth and nose when sneezing, and sanitizing frequently touched surfaces. You're also encouraged to eat a balanced diet, take vitamin and mineral supplements, stay hydrated, and stay away from persons displaying flu-like symptoms. Protect yourself this flu season.
Efforts continue to be made by the government to significantly reduce the country's use of plastics. The ban on certain plastic containers is just one of the ways that government is moving with alacrity to reduce harm to the environment.
Plastics. How did plastics become a crisis? It's an interesting issue if you really think about the history of what plastics are, what we use them for, how we consume them as individuals. The problem you have with plastics is that because of how good it is as a packaging material, because it is so light, so cheap, we have gotten away. We have overdone it. Everything is wrapped in plastic, even what doesn't need to be. The reality is 13% of Jamaica's waste is largely plastic, or is some form of plastic. Whether it's PET, HDPE, PC, whichever other category of plastic it is. And we know that for the vast majority of this plastic, it is indeed plastic bottles. Why don't you just ban it? And people ask me that every single day. Just ban the plastic bottles. And quite frankly, you can't, because the alternative is glass, and globally there's a glass shortage. I don't know if there'll be some global event that makes glass far more available and cleaner ways will come to sterilize it. But as it stands now, that's not an option. So we have to target it through a deposit refund scheme. But there are items that we have banned. Persons largely will remember the scandal bag ban, styrofoam ban, plastic straws. And the reasons were that these items are largely non-recyclable, they're non-biodegradable, and in many cases, because of how they're used, they emit carcinogens that are harmful to human health. We consume, especially with lunch boxes, a lot of gravy, a lot of heat. Heat and styrofoam not meant to mix in that sort of way for human consumption. Hence the challenge. Now, has the ban been perfect? No, there's no perfect public policy. Has the ban reduced by a few 100,000 tons the amount of plastic waste going into our waste stream? Absolutely. Is that a win? Absolutely. Are we proud of it? Absolutely. Can we tweak it to make it better? Absolutely. We have seen persons who have gone right outside of the regulations on plastic bags. So they've gone a little thicker or a little larger, trying to use plastic instead of paper-based and recyclable alternatives or reusable alternatives. That means we're going to have to move the goalpost. And that move will come this year. We're going to have to increase the size both in terms of dimensions and thickness and types of plastic bags that are banned. So for all of those who may be online now listening to us and contemplating their next round of purchases, I would suggest strongly to you that you look at the recycling alternatives, because you will get stuck with goods. And the minimum order quantities for these sorts of things, you will have months of goods put down. And that increase in size is coming and coming fast. We took out styrofoam, or expanded polystyrene foam, as the appropriate term should be. The intention of the ban was not for you to switch styrofoam for plastic. It is the intention of the government to remove these plastic lunch containers from the waste stream by also expanding the ban to include them. Again, I would then suggest to those who import to do so with the minimum quantities, because you don't want to get stuck with something that you'll only be able to recycle. And no, we will not be reimbursing for those, because we're sending the signal clear. Our sewage plants and wastewater processing stations really can't manage these microplastics. There is no way for us to filter them out of the wastewater stream. We don't need them. They're deleterious to human health, deleterious to marine health. They can affect soil quality. They have to go. As a part of the expanded ban, we will include microplastics as a part of personal care products. Jamaica, at the end of this financial year, will have a legislated deposit refund scheme. That system will have to work with customs, the NCRA, BSJ, NEPA, NSWMA, and indeed the Ministry of Industry, in ensuring that the way we implement it is done seamlessly, causes no disruption to supply and production, and it is done in a way where it does not trigger further inflation. So if you think of what that's trying to achieve, right? That is trying to deal with issues of collection, it's trying to deal with building out a circular economy, it's trying to get in many ways the public, the business community to help us collect 13% of the waste and bring it along their routes of travel to points of collection to make it easier logistically for NSWMA. But it also will help us to reduce our carbon footprint. We're going to have to disaggregate all of the things that are classified as environmental management, and we're going to have to accept that as a part of our economic development doctrine as a country, we are going to manage our environment with very strict regulations in a manner that is enforced and that gives confidence but gives predictability. Cannot be haphazard. This is why I'm very happy that NEPA was able to report that 42 persons have been prosecuted. Now, we're going to go on a drive. I'm going to be working with the NCRA and indeed Customs and the JCF over the coming months. That number is going to increase significantly based on what we're seeing in society. And we're seeing it at the higher end of the economic scale and the lower end of the economic scale. And these strictures and penalties will be applied equally regardless of where persons are operating.
It gives me great pleasure to officially open the Maypen to Williamsfield Highway.
The vision is to create a transport network that is safe, efficient, and reliable to meet Jamaica's economic and social needs.
When we look at what we have achieved in terms of the new social housing program,
I am grateful. I am beyond words.
Water was big on the agenda for 2023. 3,000 black tanks with a capacity of 400 gallons each were distributed under the pilot phase of the Rural Water Household Resilience Program.
There is more to review from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Look out for the 2023 highlights inside Jamaica Magazine, Tuesday, January 9.
It is clear that some Jamaicans have chosen to live in areas which are dangerous to live in because those areas are susceptible to weather events. People have chosen to live on hillsides that are precarious. People have chosen to live very close to river banks, and some even build in river courses. We have quite a number of communities that are perched precariously again on gully banks. We give God thanks every day that when we have these major weather events, we have not seen any significant loss of life or damage. But I would say that it may not always be the case, and I would use this opportunity to urge Jamaicans that we understand the issues of settlement, we understand the issues of housing and where you can find marginal land to live on and so forth, but you should, in seeking to settle, in seeking to live, to find a place to live, take into consideration the environmental issues and the climate change issues, particularly the environmental issues having to do with your access to water, with the stability of the slope. If you have to clear the land, how will that affect the stability of the slope? And then pay attention to the climate change issues. You're going to have frequent weather events, and what we notice about these frequent weather events is that they are of high intensity. So normally we would have a 50-year weather event, but we're now having these 50-year weather events once every 2 years. And if that is the case, then it is a creeping destruction of the infrastructure, and the probability of your house, which is built in a danger zone, being damaged. Government will try to respond, but the government will not be able to respond to everybody's needs all the time. So we have to be smart about it. Government has to enforce as well, has to put down its foot to say, listen, we understand the issues, but for your own safety, you just can't build in these areas anymore. We will have that conversation with the people and enforce the legislation that are in place, and maybe we would have to put in new legislation.
Thank you for being with us today on Jamaica Magazine. Do join us again tomorrow for another interesting journey. Of course, you can visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for more news you can use. On behalf of the entire production team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.